fed the whole engine.
We had that on test out experimental, and they were, and you just, all we had was a bare crankcase running on an electric motor, and then we'd done that spraying oil, and we had some that there'd be sparks flying in there almost, you know,
That cross-axe helical gear is very hard to, everything has to be perfect for it to run if you're taking max power. The older, smaller tractors, they never had trouble with it. But when I tried to run 2200 RPM full load and
high oil pressure.
and yeah, people then started cranking up the oil pressure and put more load than it could handle. And it was interesting when I started work for John Deere, and there was a guy from Waterloo come around every couple months to the factory, other implement factories when I worked at John Deere in Ottumwa, so we could make sure that what they were going to do on tractors would accommodate, our implements would accommodate matching up to them. And one of the first times after I started in '77, the guy from down in Waterloo, oh yeah, we're going to change the oil pump on the 4320s or 4430s and 4630s. They use that same cross-axe helical gear, and they were having a lot of failures for them also. So again, they pushed the power up, higher oil pressure, and if everything wasn't perfect, even in their machining, they had a number of failures, and they did change that then when the 40 series John Deere's came out, 4440s and 4240s.
See,
That all got changed.
that piece that went up in there to replace the oil pump, we used that, we had that drilled out, and then we took a shaft, and then we put a gear in there to run the mechanical tack. We never used the electric, I didn't like it. And I noticed the top part of that piece that replaced the oil pump was designed about the same, so we had a machinist and drill that out and put a bushing in there. And took about that much shaft, dropped it in with the gear, and now the mechanical tack.
Good idea. See, if you look back, I think there's a service bulletin on that. When the two 150s, I remember putting on a school on that, where we had the dimensions, the drawings and orifices and everything else to run an external line out, drill into the crankcase, and it was spraying like the 16th hole right against that
But
oil pump gear.
For using an outside oil pump,
Yeah,
you
right.
can still use your mechanical tack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I always wondered where all the mechanical tacks went to, because a lot of them 1355s, they took them out and put that electric tack in.
yes.
And I didn't like that, because you turned the ignition switch on, hell, it ran up a bunch of hours on them.
They're all that way now,
Yeah, it's only,
unfortunately. Yeah, that's why they talk about 10,000-hour tractors today. Pretty common tractor, when you see used tractors with 8 to 10,000 hours. With an old mechanical tack, they probably wouldn't have over 5,000 hours on them.
well, and they'd only register a full hour at rated engine
Or
RPM.
sometimes, yeah,
So these tractors are out there idling, they're registering a full hour every time the key's on.
yeah, or even off, or on without them running.
Yeah, right.
See, the only problem we had our 585 after we put that external pump on, there's a late one, but the boys used ether on it and took the top ring out of it.
Ring,
Yeah.
yes.
But we don't use ether on it now, it's been for the tractor.
Yeah, they were prone to, too much ether was hard on them.
Yeah, and then also we had a cam lobe went flat on it.
Again, speed would have helped that.
Well, we kept it way down around 2,000 RPM or less.
And the oils today would help it.
Yeah.
Of any brand, the oils have really improved
Oh, yeah.
from what we had.
It's a powerhouse though, don't get me wrong.
I don't want to change colors, but I remember you telling a story once, I think about the 531 Deere motors, tractor versus forage harvester, the frame on the forage harvester
I
would
think it was
protect
actually the 619.
619,
Same series.
breaking the cranks.
Yeah, they had the 6030, had the 619, and had a lot of
Crankshaft breaking.
engine failures.
And they would blame it on turning the engine out.
On the forage harvester, we used that same engine in the 54 or whatever, the big forage harvester, where a lot of them went to California for all custom work. And the first thing they did, I don't know, in the tractor, it was set around 225 bare engine horsepower. The first thing they did out there was screw up the fuel pumps to put out 300 horsepower because the big choppers could utilize it. They had pretty good, wide heads on them, and they were always wanting to go just as fast as they could. And you had a hydrostatic drive so you could keep them fully loaded all the time. Well, that increased power on the forage harvester, they never did have any engine failures on that. Because they didn't have the stress of the tractor, it was in a separate frame, and the engine just sat there and powered the forage harvester. Where in the tractor, that was part of the chassis on the wheel tractors, and particularly the 8630. And every time the front frame on the 8630 looked pretty beefy from the outside. But what you didn't realize, hidden behind the wheels, that frame, each side was a single plate with a low bent edge on it, bolted to the engine to get torsional rigidity. There was no cross tubes to get one side to keep it from twisting versus the other side. So anytime you went over a big bump with one of the wheels and you hit the axle stop, and a lot of people have set them in pretty narrow trying to go in 30-inch rows, you're constantly hitting the backstop. And I don't know for sure, but this was a John Deere serviceman out of Illinois. He said he thought that was probably one of the big reasons that they had so much trouble on the tractor engine, even though it was set at almost 100 horsepower less in the forage harvesters. And I know the duty cycle on the forage harvester was a lot higher because they pulled in the field, and from the time they started, they ran trucks, semis, and
Stop.
and they run one semi alongside the other when they're getting near full. Forage harvester, when the truck gets full, he sees it, he raises the spout and hits the outside truck, and the one that just filled stops and lets them go by, and then the new truck pulls in right beside, and they fill that in another 3 minutes, and another truck's there waiting.
Can we take a